Hello astrology lovers. In this video I will talk on Stephen Allen Spielberg's birth time rectification using descendant birth information and progression. Birth details: birth date and day 18th December 1946, Wednesday. Birth time 18:16 hours rectified to 18 hours 15 minutes 32 seconds. Place of birth Cincinnati, USA. Time zone and name 5 west of GMT. Latitude 39 degrees 6-11 north, longitude 84 degrees 30-43 west, geocentric latitude 38 degrees 54 53.35 north, nakshatra Swati third quarter, tithi Krishna Paksha Ekadashi, and Anmash Khullar hourly 23 degrees 6-18.98 Source note: birth certificate in hand from Yuan Negus, from Linda Linnea Viewer, same contemporary American horoscopes. So I've got the birth time. Astro Data Bank got the birth time from this source, and I got the birth time from Astro Data Bank and rectified to 18 hours 15 minutes 32 seconds. So let's begin with the steps of birth time rectification to check if this time is correct or not. We begin with the first step of birth time rectification, that's Lagna subsublord must link with moon or vice versa, directly or indirectly. Here, Lagna moon's star lord is Rahu, and subsublord was taken as Ketu. So Rahu must make link with moon. Here, moon is in the star of Rahu. That means moon is also in the star of moon because Rahu represents. So moon has positional status. The moon in the sublord of Mercury and Rahu also in the sublord of Mercury, so are linked. Now Ketu was used and Ketu must make link with Rahu. Here Ketu links with Rahu and Moon both because Ketu is in the sublord of Ketu and Ketu represents Mercury. That means Ketu is also in the sublord of Mercury and Rahu is also in the sublord of Mercury. So Ketu links with Mercury. Similarly, Ketu also links with Moon because Moon is also in the sublord of Mercury. We are done with first step. Moving to the second step, that's co-rulers of Lagna, Sun, Moon's Rashi, star, sub and sub-sublord. Star and sublord must appear in 1, 7 and 10. Why 1, 7 and 10? Because ninth cusp is connected to father, and when a person becomes a father, stimulation to cusps 2, 5 and 11 happens. 2 because 2 is connected to expansion of family, 5th is connected to first child or childbirth, and 11th is connected to fulfillment of desire or fulfillment of ambition. So 2, 5 and 11 from ninth means 1, 7 and 10. So Rashi Lord, the four planets of Sun, that's Rashi Lord, Star Lord, Sublord and Sub-Sublord must make link with 1, 7 and 10. Similarly, Moons, Rashi Lord, Star Lord, Sublord and Sub-Sublord must also make link with 1, 7 and 10. And cusp ones, Rashi Lord, Star Lord, Sublord and Sub-Sublord must also must be significator of 1, 7 and 10. I will simplify this step using this tool. You can see here Jupiter, Ketu, Sun and Saturn. We'll study these four planets. So Sun's four planets: Jupiter, Ketu, Sun and Saturn. Jupiter's star is Jupiter. Here uh, Jupiter appears in 7 and 10. Sub Mercury appears in 1 and sub Mars appears in 7. You can see this information in the cuspal position table also. I've simplified this, and if you want to understand this thing manually, you can watch some of my previous videos on birth time rectification. I've used this here because the software also gives information in this way, makes things easy because to see mm, ev- everything in customer position table is a bit difficult and the software can simplify. So I've used this, I've mentioned here, and a lot of people wanted me to simplify this because in my previous videos I have shown in the customer position table, and I have in this video I thought of showing in this system. Then Ketu's star lord Mercury appears in 1, sublord Ketu appears in 1 7, and Venus appears in 1 7. So Ketu also links with 1 7 and 10. Similarly, Sun star is Ketu, it appears in 1 7. Sublord Sun does not appear in 1 7 and 10. Here, sublord must appear in 1 7 and 10 because sublord uh, qualifies or specifies. However, it's not Sun does not appear in 1 7 and 10, but sub-sublord Saturn appears in 1 7 and 10. Here in this I've given some relaxation because in the book it's in the true horoscope book it's mentioned that it for sun and moon it should make link, whereas for first one's four planet it should become significator. Link is getting established because star appears in 1 and 7, sublord appears in 10, so link gets established. So we can give some relaxation provided many events match. In case two or more than two events match properly, then we can give some relaxation. And even if sun does not appear, we can still consider this uh, to be linked instead of becoming significator. Then Saturn star is Saturn. It appears in 10, sublord Jupiter appears in 7. So stimulation to any two cusps out of 1, 7 and 10 is happening. Then moon. Moon's star is Venus. Sorry, Moon's Rashi is Venus, and Venus star is Jupiter. It appears in 7 and 10. Sublord Ketu appears in 1 and 7, and Rahu appears in that sublord appears in 1, 7, and 10. Then Moon was in the star of Rahu. Rahu has position status. It appears in 1, 7, and 10. Sublord Mercury appears in 1. Sublord does not appear in 1, 7, and 10, but it's okay. Even if in my previous videos I have even considered the sublord, but if but in this step, if sublord does not appear in 1, 7, and 10, we can still proceed further. So when you are doing rectification, you don't have to worry too much about the sublord, provided events match. If events are not matching, then it's a problem. But somewhere you have to give some relaxation because in this the events match properly, so there is no problem. We can go ahead. Similarly, Mercury star Saturn appears in 10, sublord Rahu appears in 1, 7, and 10. And Rahu we have already studied here. Will not I will not repeat. Then Lagna's star is Mercury because Lagna is Gemini. Sorry, Rashi is Mercury because Lagna is Gemini. Star is Saturn. Saturn appears in 10. Rahu appears in 1, 7, and 10. Then Rahu we have already studied. Here similarly, don't have to bother about sublord. Venus we have studied here. Ketu we have studied here. So we are done with this step. Now moving to the third step. That's the moment at which the event happens is controlled by the prana lord. So at the moment of birth, the prana lord should be significator of 10, 1, 7 houses, at least two of these houses, or prana lord itself should appear in the cusp, irrespective of the fact it has the positional status or not. So when he took birth, that's on 18 December 1946, prana lord was of Ketu. Ketu must make link with 1, 7, and 10, and we have already studied that in the previous step. However, still I will explain to you. In this table, Ketu is in the star of Mercury. Mercury does not appear. Mercury appears in 1. Its sublord Ketu appears in 1. The Sublord Venus appears in 7 and 10. So link gets established. We are done with 3 steps. Now moving to the fourth step, that's setting arc. As Lagna here is Gemini, and Gemini is a male sign, and person is also a male, so arc should be less than 50. So here arc was selected as 49.11 because it's less than 50 because Lagna is Gemini, a male sign. Then the next step, that's arc of first descendant, his first son Max Samuel Spielberg. Fifth cusp has Libra because rising sign is Gemini, so sign is Libra. Libra also happens to be a male sign, and descendant is first descendant is male, so arc should be less than 50, and here arc is less than 50. This step we have to only do with the first descendant. We don't have to do with the second and third descendant. Then the sixth step, that's family links get established. So Max Samuel Spielberg's star is Ketu, second descendant Sasha's moon star is Venus, and third descendant Weaver Spielberg's star is Moon. So first descendant is fifth cusp. Yes, Venus make link with Ketu. Venus is in the sublord of Ketu, and Ketu is also in the sublord of Ketu. So Venus is linked with Ketu. Then seventh is sublord is Mars, and second is connected to the second descendant, and Sasha's star is Venus. So Mars must make link with Venus. Venus here is in the sublord of Ketu, and Ketu represents Mars. So Venus is also in the sublord of Mars. Then third descendant is ninth cusp. Its sublord is Jupiter, and Jupiter must make link with Moon because third descendant's star is Moon. Jupiter is in the sublord of Mercury, and Moon in the sublord of Mercury. So Moon and Jupiter are connected. So we can understand family link. So now moving to the seventh step of word time rectification, that's event verification. He became a father or a parent on 13th June 1980. Dasha was Saturn Rahu Rahu. Here we have to study cusps 2, 5, and 11. Plus 2 is expansion of family, 5th is first child, and 11th is connected to fulfillment of desire or fulfillment of ambition. We have to study Bhukti, Antar, Sukshma, and Prana. We don't have to study Mahadasha. Mahadasha, even if it's neutral, it's okay. So we begin with Bhukti and Antar, both Rahu. Rahu is in the star of Moon, sub is Mercury, and sub is Rahu has positional status, so its position matters. Rahu represents wherever Venus will be positioned, Rahu will also be positioned there. Venus appears in 2, 5, 11. So that means Rahu also appears in 2, 5, 11. So Rahu involves 2, 5, 11 commits with Mercury. Mercury is 11th. So 2, 5, and 11 commitment 11th, and sublord Moon. Moon appears in 2. So 2, 5, and 11. Then Sukshma Mars. Mars is in the star of Ketu, sublord is Jupiter, and sublord Saturn. So Ketu appears in 11th. It also appears in 2. Ketu appears in 2 and 11. Sublord Jupiter appears in 5th. Jupiter has position status, so its position in Bhav chart also matters. So 2 and 11th getting linked with 5th, and Mars is in the sub of Saturn. Saturn appears in 2, so involvement 211 commitment with 5th, and final confirmation with then. So Sukshma also supports. Then Prana, that's Venus. Venus is in the star of Jupiter, sub is Ketu, sub is Rahu. Jupiter, Ketu, Rahu. Here it involves Jupiter, because it's in the star of Jupiter. So Venus involves fifth commitment with Ketu. Ketu appears in 2 and 11, and final confirmation with Rahu. Rahu appears in 2, 5, and 11 because Rahu represents Venus, and Venus appears in 2, 5, and 11. So these planets stimulated 2, 5, and 11, and that's the reason the event happened. For an event to happen, we also have to study progression chart, because many times we see that dasha supporting, but if progression chart does not support, then the event will not happen. Progression chart is horoscope of a person, just like a person ages or grows. Similarly, his chart also ages or grows. So I had told you Lagna, the Gemini, but after growth, it became Cancer, because after Gemini comes Cancer. We have to study the same dasha. That's Rahu, Rahu, Mars, and we have to check cusps 2, 5, and 11. Rahu is Jupiter, Venus, Saturn. Jupiter in 2, Venus in 5 and 11, and Saturn in 2 and 5. So 2, 5, 11 all getting stimulated. Then Mars, Moon, Sun, Jupiter. Moon in 2, Moon in 11, Sun in 2, Moon in 5th, 11th, and Sun in 2. Jupiter also in 2. So 5, 11 involvement, commitment 2, final confirmation with 2. And then Venus is Mercury, Rahu, Mercury. Mercury is Mercury does not appear in 2, 5, and 11, but Venus has positional status, so its position matters. Venus in 11th, Venus in 5th. 5 and 11 involvement, commitment with Rahu. Rahu represents Jupiter. Jupiter appearing in 2. So 5 and 11 commitment with 2, and so 5 and 11 and 2. So all the three cusps getting stimulated, and that's the reason this event happened, as progression also supports this event. Now we will move to the second event, that when Sasha took birth on 14th May 1990. Dasha was Saturn, Jupiter, Rahu, Moon. We have to study Bhukti, Antar, Sukshma, and Prana. We begin with Jupiter. Jupiter is Jupiter, Mercury, Mars. We have to focus on 2, 7, 11. 7th is connected to second. So Jupiter appears in 7th, and then Mercury in 11th. So 7 and 11, and Mars in 11th and 7th. So 2, 7, 11, 7 and 11 getting stimulated. Then Rahu. Rahu is Moon, Mercury, Moon. Moon in 2, Mercury in 11. So 2, 11. So 2 and 11 getting stimulated. Rahu represents Venus, and so involvement is 2 11, and uh, commitment with 11th. Then Moon, that's Sukshma. Rahu, Mercury, Rahu. Rahu represents Venus and Moon. So wherever Venus will be positioned, Rahu will also be positioned. Venus appears in 2 and 11, so Rahu also appears there. Mercury appears in 11. So Moon also, and Moon appearing in 2. So 2, 11 getting stimulated. So from this we can see that the planets stimulated cusp 2, 7, and 11, and that's the reason Sasha's birth happened. Now we move to the third event, that's he became father again on 10th March 1992. Dasha was Mercury, Jupiter, Saturn, Moon. Here we have to study 2, 9, 11 because ninth is connected to the third child. Mercury is Bhukti, Antar, Sukshma and Prana. We begin with Mercury. Mercury is Saturn, Rahu, Moon. Saturn 2 and 9. Rahu, sorry, uh, Rahu appears in 11 because Rahu represents Venus. So 2, 9, 11 getting stimulated, and Moon appears in 2. 2, 9, 11 and 2. So the desired cusp getting stimulated. Then Jupiter. Jupiter is Jupiter, Mercury, Mars. Jupiter in 11th, Mercury also in 11th, and Jupiter in 9th, Mercury in 11th, Mars also in 11th. So 9, 11 getting stimulated, and Mars also appearing in 9, 11 getting stimulated. Saturn, we have to study. Saturn is Saturn, Jupiter, Jupiter. Saturn appearing in 2, 9, and Jupiter also appearing in 9. So 2, 9 getting stimulated. Then Moon, that's Prana. Moon in Rahu, Mercury, Rahu. Rahu in 9 and 2 because Rahu represents and Venus appears in 9 and 2. Mercury in 11th. Sorry, Rahu appearing in 2 and 11, and Mercury also appearing in 11th. So Moon as the prana also supporting this event. Now again we will study progression for this event. Progression for 10th March 1992. Same dasha. We have to study cusps 2, 9. We begin with Mercury. Mercury was in Venus, Mercury, Saturn. Venus in 2, 11. Mercury also in 11, and Saturn in 9. So 2, 9, 11 getting stimulated. And Jupiter. Jupiter is Mercury, Saturn, Moon. Mercury in 11th, Saturn in 9th, Moon in 2. So 2, 9, 11 getting stimulated. Then Saturn. Saturn is Venus, Ketu, Venus. Venus here. Ketu represents Saturn and Sun. So Ketu will be positioned here. Venus in 9th and Ketu in Venus in 11th and Ketu in 9th. 9, 11 getting stimulated, and Venus again in here. Venus in 2 and 11. So 2, 9, 11 all getting stimulated. Then Moon is Mercury, Mercury, Jupiter. Mercury appearing in 11, Jupiter appearing in 9. So 9 and 11 getting stimulated. That's the reason birth happened, because progression also supported the event to happen. I do not wish to make this video long, so the remaining part of birth time rectification and other understanding about Mr. Steven Allen Spielberg will be continued in the upcoming video, so please subscribe. I appreciate you took time to watch this video, and if you found this video useful, then please feel free to uh, give a thumbs up. And if you want me to rectify your horoscope, then please feel free to connect with me with the information mentioned in the description box. For any questions or queries also, you may ask me in the comment section. These are the references. I wish you have a wonderful day and stay safe.